Hi witches, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be covering a very scary topic. Just kidding, it's really not that scary. I promise, we're gonna get through it together. But today we are going to be discussing Mercury Retrograde, which is occurring right now. So if you have been noticing some stuff going haywire, if you're like, what is all of this chaos? One, could be the full moon, for sure, but two, it's likely the fact that we have 6 planets in retrograde. Now, I am not a professional astrologer, so this is kind of just like the witch's take or like the witch's guide to surviving Mercury retrograde. And I thought I would just share some tips that I have kind of picked up over the last 12 years of my practice. It's actually gonna be 12 years exactly, like next week. I am so happy. Oh! So needless to say, I've been through a couple like periods of Mercury retrograde before, and it can be very like confusing, chaotic, overwhelming. It's something that a lot of people talk about. I know like the meme is like Mercury and Gatorade or whatever, but it is not something that I think that as a beginner practitioner you should be like terrified of. I remember being like horrified of Mercury retrograde. Like I was so scared, oh my gosh. And I thought like, you know, the world was gonna end, my life was gonna be just like completely thrown out of whack, and I'm still alive, so here we are. But if I can pass on any wisdom to you, especially at the beginning of your practice, I hope that this video helps. So the first thing is we should talk about like what Mercury retrograde is. So basically, Mercury retrograde just describes a period of time when the planet Mercury actually looks like its orbit is going backwards in space. So if we think about planets and stuff, and this is me very much paraphrasing like high school earth science, so I do apologize. I went to art school. I don't work for NASA. They don't want me. At some point in the Earth's orbit and Mercury's orbit, it's gonna actually look like it's going, instead of like following the same direction, it's actually gonna look like Mercury's moving backwards. And it's like, oh my gosh. Now, the planet Mercury is primarily associated with travel and communication. So those are the things that are like most affected during Mercury's retrograde. So like any sort of electronics, technology, things that you are using to either like record or like FaceTime, Zoom, make sure that, you know, it's all muted before you're like, oh my gosh, did you see what Tina was wearing or whatever. A really good example of me not taking my own advice is that last week I had filmed like a bunch of videos for all of my Advanced Witch patrons, and like all of them didn't save. So I was like, and it was, of course, the first day of Mercury retrograde. I should have known. So making sure that you are checking your emails, just making sure that you're not emailing the wrong person or like sending a text to the wrong person. Oh my gosh, I have done that. The fear is next level. So just really being cognizant of that. You might also find in terms of communication that people's tempers are like flaring. People might be a little bit more angry, testy. You might kind of like lose some things in translation, so to speak. And if you find that this has happening, it might be good just to like step away, remove yourself from the situation a little bit, and wait till people's emotions kind of level out, fizzle out, whatever it may be, before reapproaching that conversation. So that's just something that I've personally found. Again, there might be a lot of like missed phone calls or like playing telephone tag with people. You might not get a piece of mail that you like actually need. So just keeping on top of things is very beneficial overall for Mercury retrograde, just making sure, double checking, triple checking, that kind of stuff. Now, when it comes to travel, I also have a very good story about that from the first day of retrograde this period. I got pulled over 30 seconds. I was like turning into my destination and I got pulled over because like I had a tail light out or something. And he just gave me a warning, so I have to just go get that fixed. But it was still like panic inducing. I mean, who likes getting pulled over? And I was like 30 seconds from my destination. And I was like, Mercury retrograde. Like I was so mad because I was like, this Mercury retrograde, I'm not gonna let anyone get me down. I'm gonna make sure that I like have everything that I need when I'm traveling and all of this good stuff. Hopefully that is kind of like the end of my struggles for this period of Mercury retrograde. If I didn't mention it earlier, it started September 9th and it's only lasting until October 2nd. So it's only like 3 weeks. We're almost a third of the way through, so you guys can totally make it. But in terms of like travel and stuff like that, just make sure that your car's like up to snuff. Make sure you got your oil change. Make sure that, you know, your insurance is paid and all that good stuff. If you are like on a plane, expect cancellations. and just try to remain calm and patient. I know that is super duper difficult, but unfortunately, everyone else is also dealing with these little weird frustrations, right? Technology failing, communication failures, etc. So those are just some of the more recent experiences that I have had with Mercury retrograde. And to recap, here are some tips to like kind of help you through. One is to expect the unexpected, right? So just expect things to go wrong, and when they don't go wrong, fantastic, right? I also encourage you to have patience for other people, but also patience for yourself. Like, it can be super easy to get frustrated with yourself for like not seeing something coming, you know, or like, like making a mistake, but that doesn't help anybody. That just makes you feel sad, and I don't like that. That's not cool. Don't talk to my best friend like that. But I do encourage you guys just to have just a little bit of patience. Give yourself a little bit of space to like make mistakes and to rest during this period of time. Establishing a really good self-care practice is incredibly beneficial to Mercury retrograde. It just kind of helps mitigate all of the other stuff that might be going on. And in that same vein, I really recommend starting, if not continuing, a grounding practice or centering practice, whatever you choose to call it. I tend to ground in the morning and in the evening during Mercury retrograde. It just kind of helps me stay focused. It also gives me kind of like a good place to return to if I ever feel like my anxiety is like rising. I can kind of just take a second to myself, go sit in my car, kind of ground, do what I gotta do to keep moving forward. Luckily, Mercury retrograde isn't forever. So if you find yourself running into these little annoyances, luckily you will know that it'll be over by October 2nd. That being said, we will have other planets in retrograde as well. So if that kind of stuff interests you and you are interested in learning a little bit more about astrology, I do really recommend, you guys are always asking me for book recs, here we go. This is Astrology for Real Life. It's like a workbook, and it's called the No BS Guide for the Astro Curious. So this is from like Wiser Books, which is a small pagan publication, but I really enjoyed reading through this. I know I've mentioned it on here before, but I do not understand astrology. This helped me to understand it a little bit more than I did previously, which was definitely not at all. So, super good book. Mercury retrograde, again, is not something to be afraid of. Your life is not going to be over, and I'm here to support you in any way I can. You have community here, and I care about you guys, and I know you guys can make it. You guys are strong, badass, capable witches, and you freaking got this. So, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye!